Hello, my stamping friends. This is Renee Novak at blessedbycards.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and I'm here today with part 2 of our Quilting with Paper series. Today I'm going to share with you how to make this fun patchwork looking quilt card. And it's super simple. All you're going to need is some scraps of your designer series paper, and I chose coordinating ones. Excuse me. I chose coordinating ones, and then I cut them down be 1 by 2 inch strips. I found that the 1 by 2 inch strips were easier to work with, and I cut about 13, 14 of those. And then I took a piece of just plain white paper, and that measures about 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I just totally covered the entire page, just patched it on with all those pieces of paper. All the supplies and all the measurements are going to be available on my blog at blessedbycards.com. Although all my paper, this is retired, and I'm sure your paper is going to look different, which means your coordinating pieces are going to be a different color, but the measurements will be all the same. So all I did was I just layered out my pieces of paper. Sometimes I use a little bit of adhesive just to tack it down to see if I liked where it went, and then I went back with liquid glue and I put them down. You can use snail adhesive on the whole thing. Just make sure your corners are well attached. Then after you do that, you just trim off all the excess, because there was a little bit more here, here, and here. You just trim it all down, and then I cut the whole piece down to be 3 3/4 by 5 so I could mount it on my crushed curry and then on my card front. Before I added it to my crushed curry, I did run it through an embossing folder to give it that quilted look, and this is the Swirled Magic. This is one of our new embossing folders, and it's going to be great for the holidays. So all I did was take the So Sorry for Your Loss from the Prayers and Promises stamp set. I stamped that on a piece of white. I used the corner rounder, and then I pop that up with Stampin' Dimensionals, and that is card number 1. Card number 2 is very, very similar. I started with a petal pink, and my layers were in Old Olive to pull out my paper, and again I used another petal pink. This paper is lovely and beautiful, and these were my scraps that I had, and again I cut them down into be 1 by 2. I used about 13 or 14 of them. It just depends on how you shape them. And then for this one, I took a black journaling pen and I just went around the edges of all of my squares to make them look like they were quilted together. If you do want that embedded quilted look, you might want to check out the new dies in the stocking, stitched stocking bundle. They cut and they do the stitched embedding. So I just took the journaling pen around, and again I just chose an embossing folder and I embossed that. Then I mounted it on the petal pink, the Old Olive, and the petal pink card base. So depending on what size you start with and how you want to cut it down, your measurements also might be different. The Get Well is from Friendly Foliage, which I think is on the last chance list, and I used a paper snip to create that banner. And for our third and final card, again, same concept. This time I used the True Blue. That was a product of the month. Those are my scraps. And I just did the very same thing, layered them out, and then I took a blue journaling pen to go around these to match my paper. And it really does depend on the paper that you're going for, the landscape that you put it in. This one, I did not do any extra embossing. These ones, I did the embossing. So it just depends on the look you're going with, but I encourage you to go through your scraps and pull those out, and let's use those up. So thanks so much for watching. Join me on Monday for another Make It Monday tutorial. We're going to make a fun quilted pinwheel card. So I hope you'll join me for that. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, be blessed.